and for YouTube to join us. This is Cleanpin. I believe we're on episode 5 here on audio version. And a video version, which you could find on From the Bleachers Sports Show, we should be on episode 40-something. We will confirm. But yeah, we're live now on both. Let's just check if we have how the audio is coming through. Make sure there are no audio difficulties here. And we're going to breeze through some wrestling news and rumors. Try to get this in and out in
Yeah, we're live now on both.
half an hour. Let's see if we
Let's just check if we have how the audio is coming through.
All right, so audio seems to be a go.
And we're gonna breeze through some wrestling
And we're live.
rumors.
We talk about everything wrestling related. AEW, WWE, MLW, ROH, TNA, NWA. So likely will be like a likely thing that if you like this episode, that you click the like button and join us every week, every Saturday, for the most part. So where do we begin? The WWE draft began on SmackDown. So just to be clear on the draft, not all of the roster was available for the draft on Friday. Okay, so the draft started on SmackDown, went into today. I believe it was on that WWE Network show. I believe it was The Bump, but they were a little bit further, where they did further the draft. I believe they drafted an additional, I want to say, 3 people. So it's just a general thing here as far as the draft. Okay, and let me just pull this up here. That way we could be as accurate as possible. Okay. Let's see. We're going to go to 2020 WWE Draft results. SmackDown and Raw rosters. All right. So the first round, okay, makes sense. Drew McIntyre staying at Raw. Roman Reigns staying at SmackDown. Asuka going to Raw. Of course. Champion. Take all your champions. This is round 1. Seth Rollins then going to SmackDown. Okay. Hurt Business going to Raw. Okay. Then you had, in the second round, for example, AJ Styles going over to Raw in the second round. Then right after that, in the second round, you have Naomi. But in the third round, you had Mandy Rose, followed by The Miz and John Morrison in the third round. Okay, so indulge me here. Now, I know it's a suspension of disbelief. Sometimes we as wrestling fans look into things more than they really should be looked into. But if this was a draft, and you're drafting based on, I guess, accomplishments and ability, how are the Miz and Morrison going in round 3 and the Hurt Business, who, although they are a faction, haven't really accomplished much? And for that matter, how is Naomi going in the second round to Raw, while Miz and Morrison are going in the third round? You following what I'm saying? So it's like saying you're having this draft. In a draft, you pick the athletes or the wrestlers that have accomplished more. Miz and Morrison between them have a gazillion championships, and Mandy Rose, or Naomi rather, who was taken in the second round, has nothing, no championships. So yeah, it's just I guess suspension of disbelief. That's the draft always it's never really conducted, I guess, as if being a true draft, and there's really never no. No, hold on here 1 second. And we're back anyway. Just messed up that audio version. Hopefully it came out all right. Anyway, like I was saying, with the draft, there is no rhyme or reason. Certain wrestlers are going before other wrestlers, and it makes no sense just based on accomplishment. That's the first thing. The second thing, you had, like, for example, you had Heavy Machinery listed together as a tag team. They were a tag team, but they weren't drafted as a tag team. They were drafted separately. It was Heavy Machinery, but instead, one guy rather, Otis stays on SmackDown, and Tucker goes on Raw. So they're a tag team. They went on the ballot as a tag team, but they split them up. It makes no sense to me. And I will go back and kind of give my 2 cents there on Heavy Machinery being broken up as well. But that's what I find kind of it doesn't make sense, and how it's being drafted, how it's being presented. Meanwhile, you have the New Day, which has always been, again, they presented them as New Day, not Big E, Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods. It was the New Day. So they drafted New Day into Raw, and then they took Big E, who was in New Day, on SmackDown. So they're not being consistent, and they have Rey Mysterio and Rey Mysterio and Dominic in as a tag team, but they haven't really been a tag team, and they get drafted together to SmackDown. You've had Rey Mysterio in Dominic's corner, not necessarily Dominic and Rey Mysterio being a tag team, because Dominic has been a tag team partner for the most part with everyone except Rey Mysterio, except for that one time. So, the rhyme and reasoning with the draft really does not make it. It's hard to follow. Doesn't make any sense for me. But the draft is important. Some people do need a fresh start, because they have just kind of been in just limbo and not really moving anywhere. So it's good in that regard. Now, as far as actual little things that I'll take from the draft, and the draft will continue this week on Raw. heavy machinery broken up. I worry about Tucker. I worry about Tucker. Otis, with the Money in the Bank briefcase, that's a storyline. That's a story in itself. It's going to keep him relevant. I think even if he didn't have the briefcase, he would be relevant because he does have the charisma. So I think Otis will always be relevant. Now, what do they do with this with the briefcase? Honestly, I don't see him keeping that briefcase, and nor do I see him cashing in that, even actually having the chance to cash in that briefcase. At this moment, I don't think he even is like a tag team champion, rather a world heavyweight champion worthy. But he has the charisma, he has the facial expressions, he has the baby caterpillar that he uses in his arsenal. So he will be able to keep himself in the public eye, and being on SmackDown on Fox there. Fox could definitely market him. Listen, kind of like how the Worm with Scotty 2 Hotty and Rikishi and Brian Christopher, they could be an act where, they were an act where all the kids were behind. They could they could market Otis beautifully. T-shirts, designs, everything. You just gotta worry. That way, because I could almost see it where WWE will just kind of make him. I just worry that they don't make him into a caricature. What is it? Is it caricature of himself? That way he doesn't become basically a meme of himself. So you got to worry about that. Tucker, it seems like to me anyway that his whole character has been focused around Otis, right? So at first it was trying to make sure that in storyline he was looking after his back, making sure that his buddy was not hurt by Mandy Rose. He also then, most recently, has been trying to help Otis keep the briefcase and not lose it. Because now I believe, if I'm following the storyline correctly, I believe Otis has some type of lawsuit that he has to try to defend against himself, and things along that nature. So his whole character has been everything directed towards Otis. But the question is, who is Tucker? And I think that's something that the WWE didn't really take time to tell the story. Now, are we going to go by the logic, or we're going to go by saying, listen, Tucker is a guy that is very loyal to his friends, a very loyal guy, but what else do you have on Tucker? I think they've spent too much time developing the character of Otis and not Tucker, and that could be just really a detriment to Tucker since they split them up. So listen, Otis is going to have that personality. He's going to do well. But I worry about Tucker. I really do. On SmackDown, you had I shake my head. I shake my head. As soon as, first of all, New Day. Okay, New Day have been a multiple gazillion time tag team champions at this point. Between the New Day and the Usos, it's almost like that is the safe bet for your tag champs. Whenever they feel that something is stale, oh, are the New Day around? Are the Usos around? Let's put the strap on them. So there you go. And it just kind of just absolutely destroys. It just destroys. I don't know. It just destroys the credibility of the tag team division. And you could just pretty much call Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura just placeholders. They're just title holders because that's what they were. It seems like, listen, they were on the shelf, both of them, Kingston and Xavier Woods. They were on the shelf for a considerable amount of time. They appear out of left field. They get a title shot out of left field. What, they haven't wrestled. They haven't been up the ladder. They haven't worked their way back. They get a title shot and they win. And down goes Cesaro, down goes Shinsuke Nakamura into obscurity. A giant smacko in the face. And it really doesn't, kind of destroys your tag team division, the credibility. I mean, you're going to say to me, well, name me 3 tag teams right now. And that's a good question, good point that you may have. And that's something that we have to think about. How many tag teams do we actually have? But the point I'm trying to make is the little tag teams that we do have, the New Day just automatically get a shot for what reason? And, what does that really say for, Shinsuke and Cesaro at this point? And not only that, we also find out that they decided to finally split up New Day. Big E on his own, and Woods and Kingston onto the Raw brand. There you go. Try saying that 10 times fast. On the Raw brand, Kingston and Woods are going to breathe some new life into there. Let's be honest with you, that show has been completely, between the two shows, between Raw and SmackDown, Raw has been the show that's been really struggling. But nonetheless, okay, you have, even though they're not together, I think they could still be New Day. Right? They're just not all together. There's just New Day on one show and New Day on the other show. It's like the Horsemen. The Horsemen weren't always together at every step of the way. But Big E, you seen the match on this past Friday on SmackDown. And it does feel like we're going to maybe see maybe Sheamus on his way to Raw. I mean, that match, they went all out. Some of the things that... It was a good opening match for SmackDown. Some of the things that they used in that Falls Count Anywhere match was a little kooky. Eggs. Come on now. But, that match, I think, showed you that Big E is able to be serious and should be taken seriously, and not just some guy that just throws fake pancakes around and just rolls around in the ring on in his entrance. So I think he asserted himself that he should be taken seriously. He never really had the opportunity to really run by himself on the singles. But I think he's been showing that, again, his serious side. And I think it's potential eventually down the road, if it works out well, you could see Big E going up against a Roman Reigns down the road. So this has potential. I think Big E in a singles bout, definitely has potential. Definitely does. So interested and excited to see what will happen with Big E going forward in his singles reign here. As we need a little plug-in. Hold on 1 second. Just a couple quick more things here on SmackDown before we take a quick break, and I'll play some a retro clip about Big E from way back in the day, as we transition into a couple of other topics here. But very quickly, Lars Sullivan also returned. But he's going to be actually, he returned again from injury. He's been out for quite some time. Looks strong. Riddle knocked him out. Knocked out Miz. Knocked out pretty much everyone in his sight. And that's why, like social media already. Social media, man, cannot... just cannot let things go. The guy has been back only for what, couple of seconds already. They're already on him with the memes, the old pictures from his past, and they cannot let things go. They just want to drive it into the ground and keep things rolling. And it's like, they don't allow people to have fresh starts. Fresh starts, no such thing in the social media world. So interested to see who was undrafted. So far, you had Elias, Shorty G, Mickey James, Zusha House Party. Mickey James, by the way, too, who she's just been, I don't know if it's coincidence, maybe it's just timing, maybe it's just the way it's been unfolding. But every time that you hear Nick Aldis speak, in an interview, NWA, by the way, I miss it so much. A world's champion, the true world's champion, Nick Aldis. So every time he speaks, and there is some type of a problem between him and the WWE for whatever reason, every time he speaks, it seems that his wife, Mickey James, on TV the following week is just eating piles and piles of plates of garbage, and she just cannot catch up. Same thing is going for Lana. Just every time Miro speaks about something, he's going through. She's going through tables. She's been going through a table 3 times, 3 straight weeks already. Coincidence? WWE being petty? Yeah, I think it's WWE being petty. But it's, I think, no coincidence that she's been left. That she's been left undrafted. So, just you shake your head. So, going into the draft, before we wrap up the draft, draft eligible on Monday. You have Sami Zayn, Andrade, Aleister Black, Daniel Bryan, King Corbin, Apollo Crews, Eric, Jeff Hardy, Keith Lee, Riddick Moss, Titus O'Neil, Orton, Owens, R-Truth, Riddle, Sheamus, Braun Strowman, Tozawa, Bray Wyatt, Arturo Ruas. Women is Bayley, Alexa Bliss, Carmella, Nikki Cross. By the way, Carmella, after all of this hype, vignettes, finally makes an appearance, and now is and then the following week, nowhere to be seen. Ain't that just how things work? Really, no consistency. How important she is. They make her out to be 20 pounds of gold. All that work, and then the following week they cannot keep it consistent and follow up. So how are you, as the viewer, supposed to take that? Just my 2 cents. But, again, maybe I'm just looking at it a little bit too in detail, too in depth. But, those are my 2 cents on that. That's the draft. A couple of other things to get into. Do want to take a small break, just that way I could reset everything. And just go back to a video that I did, which is from the Bleacher Sports Show. So please do subscribe. And just to giving my thoughts on Big E at that point, if I could follow it here. If I could find it. Let's see. Remember when they were calling him Big E Langston? There you go, Big E Langston. Let's play it. This is from 7 years ago. I made a video 7 years ago on Big E. It was called Big E Langston at the point. Here's some of that quick clip.
Welcome to another edition of Smart Chat. And I am your host, Tommy. Oh, Smart Chat. Yeah, Tommy Smart Chat. And today, after a long layoff of not making any YouTube videos, and I apologize, I have a topic for you that will rock your socks off. I don't know if that's even possible, but it begins right after this. Roll it. Ah, yes. WWE. They really love their big men. And in case you have missed it, we've seen the debut of Big E. Langston. Big E. Langston. Now, this is probably 2 weeks now ago, but when I think Big E. Langston, I think he's doomed for failure. Scratching my head, I think about Mason Ryan. I also think about Big Zeke, Andrew Jackson, to name a couple of big men that recently debuted. Oh, not recently, that debuted in the not too distant past. And where are they right now? Mason Ryan came off as a heel, then a face, and now is off TV. Big Zeke, heel, that didn't work too well. It worked for a while when he was with Brian Kedrick. Then he became a face, a heel, a face, injured, and now he's off of television as well. And Big Andrew Jackson, one appearance on TV with Tyson Kidd as the bodyguard, and then adios, amigos, bye-bye. And then we have Big E. Langston, that made his debut recently, 2 weeks ago. Now, there are many things that are wrong with the Big E. Langston debut. Something that I wish WWE would hire me to be on the creative team, because after all, I am Smart Chat. And there are just a number of things that I'm sure strike your head and strike you as odd, and you think to yourself that they're destined for failure. And there are a few things that I want to share with you, and I'll explain what I mean. First off, who is Big E. Langston? Who exactly is he? Why not build up his character? Why not make people care? If you recall, when he simply debuted, the announcers said that he is Big E. Langston from NXT. Okay? And that's assuming that people watch NXT. Why not the build for this guy weeks? For a few weeks, few vignettes. Make him. Let us know a little bit about him. Let us invest in him. Let us like him. Let us hate him. Why do they now have run-ins as introductions? Whatever happened to the old school vignettes? That's the first point where I think that this could be a colossal fail. We don't know who he is. 2, for a heel, he does not look like a heel at all. He looks like the type of guy that you just want to pinch his cheeks. Pinch his cheeks. He needs a new look, a new setup, new tights. Get him out of this the gear that he had on last few weeks. It looks silly. Silly. Does not flatter him. Does not make him tough. Maybe have him wear the old classic trunks, black trunks. He looks like a baby face again. He looks harmless. Toughen up his image. Maybe grow a beard. Hey, simple, but it might work. Grow a beard. Or wear some shades. Or maybe even a chain. Something to make him look a little bit more fearless. Take him more seriously. Number 2. He is working with John Cena. And if you know a little bit about Cena, he can't A, wrestle. But take that back. He now has the 6 moves of doom. And B, he can't sell. So how is this guy, John Cena, going to make this guy look good? Assuming all stays the same the way it does now. Question posed to you.
That video was from January 1st, 2013. Wow. And, just going back on, Big E, he accomplished a lot. He accomplished a lot. This tag team. I think, maybe I'm wrong, but I think a lot of people when you're growing up, you inspire to be the heavyweight champion. Singles. Now, when they announced on SmackDown that they were being split up, I don't know. Did they know? It looked like they might have known, but you could see that they were still kind of like it's different knowing something, and then when you actually hear it, it's like, geez, man, damn. So I think they'll do fine. I think that they'll do fine, and I'm sure they're already having a celebration of New Day's like next week. It's like New Day's last match on SmackDown, and they're already drafted. And it's like their farewell match. Already having reunion tours. Anyway, let's jump into AEW there for a little bit here, and I know this has been a little bit raw, heavy, but we're going to jump into AEW. And my AEW, right? So we've seen Cody come back. Now, well, he did come back last week. This week, he faced in a dog collar match on AEW Dynamite. He did face a Brody Lee. Okay, and remember, you spend all this time trying to and build up the Dark Order, build up Brody Lee the right way. Trying to build them up that way they're taken seriously. And what do? As soon as Cody comes back, again, what is with this whole thing here of, which I don't understand, this whole thing here, no, unless he automatically deserves, gets a rematch, maybe that's it. But how is this automatically? Cody has been off TV and automatically is fighting for the championship again. We were under the assumption that wins and losses matter here. Well, then, right off the bat, he's already getting a title shot. Now, if you're going to tell me it's a rematch, okay, different thing. But does this win, with Cody having the championship back, how does this help Brody Lee? Besides not helping him at all, besides making him look silly, besides you're just trying to build up the Dark Order where they're being taken as a threat, and you're on your way there with some wins. And now he just loses. How many the title defenses did Brody Lee have? 1, 2 at the most? And here you are. He just seems like he was a placeholder championship. Placeholder championship. For as soon as Cody came down, does Cody need a championship? Let me ask you that. Does he need the championship? It's funny because everyone is quick to jump on, WWE's back, like, oh, WWE misused him. AEW does a thing like that. Oh, you don't hear a peep. you don't hear a you don't hear a peep. Not a peep. Always right in the world, because it's it's AEW and they cannot do no wrong. Again, guys, if you're new to this channel, please hit the subscribe button. It means a lot, and it definitely does help you. Let's see. There you go. There was something on Twitter. Tweet. Where someone added, or someone tagged Jericho, referring to the O'Reilly Balor matchup on NXT. Like, hey, take notes. And Jericho goes, sure. How to mess each other up during a match so they can't work again for months. Hashtag smart wrestling. Now listen, Jericho has been involved in situations like this in his career. Remember that face-first bulldog off a ladder off Bubba Dudley on Raw in 2002? That knocked him silly? Pot calling the kettle black, if you ask me. So he has hurt someone before. Bret Hart is the only one that gets off free. And to me, it seems like he's acting above it when he's done exactly such. Maybe I'm reading too much into a single tweet. Jericho respects the business all too much. And it's possible that it could be, and I wouldn't rule that out. I just really think that in the last year or so, his quote-unquote confidence regarding his ability and work kind of gets muddled at times for being too cocky. Not taking away his skill, no, and ability, but he's not, hitting a homer with everything that he does. And I know he's trying to build a company by any means necessary. Bad thing is if AEW fails, we all lose, right? Back to the same old WWE. And listen, I can appreciate that. Going on to the just before we call it a night here, and just as you can see, this episode was mostly about the draft because it'll be so it's going to shape the storylines in the coming weeks here. And I found it interesting too, but just to the drafts. Found it interesting that the drafts were allowed. Found it interesting rather that brands were allowed to draft talents that currently reside on that show, especially when Raw, drafted Drew with the first pick, and Cole made it known that Raw was keeping their champion. I like that because it presented the importance of the brand wanting to keep their guy and want that talent meant to the brand. Leaving the talent pool open in this draft format, allowing that to occur, made the draft for me kind of seem more realistic. And, overall, this wasn't earth-shattering, this draft, but it seemed like a solid format this time around. Made some sense, when the context of the rules were explained ahead of time. So it'd be interesting to see where you go from here. Very interesting what happens with the draft in the coming weeks. That's it for this edition here of Cleanpin. I wanted to get it out to you guys. Just give you some of my quick thoughts here. Again, if you're new here, please do subscribe on the YouTube. If you're listening to audio, please share the audio. Maybe you would like to consider subscribing to the video portion on YouTube from the Bleachers Sports Show. It's been a fun time, guys. I will see you all next week. This is From the Bleachers Sports Show. Mahalo.